Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Thank you for joining me here for the Taz Effect. Daily news in a way you didn't know that you could use. There is so, so much going on right now. Where to begin? Actually, let's begin discussing once again our POTUS of peace, who is doing everything but keeping things peaceful. Murderer. Outrage as new Trump strikes push death toll beyond 70. Yeah. hmm That is our reality. While we have diminished intel coming in, diminished domestic and international security, and a SecDef that does not believe in war crimes. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announced a new series of military strikes Monday that killed at least 6 people as a part of the Trump administration's purported efforts to combat drug trafficking, sparking outrage over what critics have dubbed the administration's extrajudicial executions. At the direction of President Donald Trump, the U.S. military conducted strikes on 2 sea vessels in the Eastern Pacific Ocean, vessels that Hegseth alleged were operated by designated terrorist organizations. Need you to keep in mind that not too long ago, the Trump administration had to admit that they had no real intel on any of these vessels that they are bombing or anything else. I'm out, Tammy. Hey, Jay. Um, so they're lying. Also, let us not forget the vessel that they bombed, and there were 2 survivors that they sent to 2 countries that were not their home countries. Because if what they're saying is true and they have proper intel, why not back it up with prosecutions? Why not have those court documents to show that, yeah, hey, we were right? This was a viable threat. Both strikes were conducted in international waters, and 3 male narco terrorists were aboard each vessel. All 6 were killed. No U.S. forces were harmed, Hegseth wrote Monday in a social media post on X. Under President Trump, we are protecting the homeland and killing these cartel terrorists who wish to harm our country and its people. That's not the order of operations. Number one. Number two, you're in international waters. Number three, if this was such a crucial threat, why not have an official press conference? Why is everything being conducted via social media? Isn't that just a little bit weird? Isn't that just a little bit weird? I've said it before. Let me say it again, because I know people are going to scramble themselves like they're trying to create an omelet. One, stop looking at current events going, oh, we're okay. I didn't see the messages, but I'll check them when I'm done, Vance. There are a lot of people that are like, oh, we're borrowing the playbook of Hitler. No, we are not. And let me explain. Okay. Historically speaking, other countries have borrowed our playbook. Hitler learned how to be Hitler from us. We keep loaning out the playbook and then we get it back and we add more notes on top of the chapters that other people add. This is our thing. This is as American as apple pie and baseball. And it's because hatred, most notably racism, actually all of the isms, causes you to compartmentalize yourself away from reality. And the reality of the matter is we exist collaboratively. We are a nation that requires diversity in order to move forward. And if you think that I'm joking, if Euro Americans had a utopia and Europeans had it going on and had everything figured out, why would they leave their utopia? Everything that we are accustomed to, everything that makes us us, has been a collaborative effort. And the first step is us reconciling with who we were, who we are, and then deciding who we want to be. If we keep placing the blame on everybody else, we are never going to sit down at the table and fix what's broken here so we can stop having this groundhog day of tyranny and savagery every few generations. We keep reliving the same playbook. We keep doing it. For what reason? And hear me clearly. You cannot say that you are anti-racism, but you're pro-homophobia and transphobia. You cannot say that you're anti-racism, but you're pro-misogyny. And this is why. It is the same talking points, the same playbook that is used across all of those. It goes back to racism. If you listen to what they say to you when they're being racist, it's what you're saying to other people when you're being all these other isms. They're just trying to give you somebody to push down on so you don't focus so much on being pushed down on. And that shift of focus, surprise, surprise, got us here. Now, there is a lot of buzz on, is the government going to reopen? Should the 8 Democrats that kind of flip the script be primaried? First of all, only one of them can be primaried, and that's the is he really a Democrat, John Fetterman. Okay. Were there some people trying to work in good faith? Yes, but we have to realize we still have the old guard in there. No, I'm not making excuses for them. You need to understand their mindset. We still have people that think that they need to play politics as if it's 1973. Speaking of John Fetterman apologizes for government shutdown after vote to reopen. This was a failure. So is your wardrobe. But, not to mention, I have not even a monochrome of respect for John Fetterman because he is a cosplayer. And I still remember him chasing a black man down the street with a gun. So, excuse me, take that. Senator John Fetterman apologized for the protracted government shutdown after a group of Democrats reached an agreement with Republicans to reach a tentative deal to end it. Where was this smoke before now? When it mattered, and we needed you to fight the good fight, when we needed you to properly negotiate, where were you? Like, John Fetterman keeps sucking up to Republicans. Yes, the same Republicans who made fun of him for having a stroke, the same Republicans that wanted him de-seated because he needed aides in order to be mobile, to be able to properly communicate, to do his job. The DEIA that they hate: diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. After 40 days, as a consistent voice against shutting our government down, I voted yes for the 15th time to reopen. I'm sorry to our military, SNAP recipients, government workers, and Capitol Police who haven't been paid in weeks. It should have never come to this. This was a failure, Fetterman said in a social media publication. Here is the thing. When have you been a voice against it? Because if you've been consistently voting to reopen it, that means you looked at the bill, or maybe you avoided looking at the bill. You saw ultimately that, yes, people will continue to get paychecks and people will get SNAP benefits, but they will lose their health insurance. What good is it to have a full belly if my body is already failing me? What good is it to have a paycheck when I'm still going to end up houseless, because I don't make enough to survive. On top of, now I got medical conditions. Why weren't you firmly at the negotiating table if you were so stuck on this? Why didn't you come up with a fix instead of once again, Fetterman, riding the coattails of other people and acting like you are the people's people and that you're here for us? You are not. Because I'm tired of, I do not care what label you slap on your chest. Okay. Common sense is common sense. Right is right. Wrong is wrong. Okay. I'm not 2 years old anymore. The magic tricks don't work. I'm not oohing and eyeing at the smoke and mirrors. There are far too many politicians that are relying on talking points instead of work. And I fear, due to the history of this nation, after last, people are going to think that that is enough and move forward because far too many people do not realize that, once again, we're going to use that word collaborative, that the government in the United States works collaboratively. People always think of just Congress and the White House and that collaboration that needs to work. But the supporting cast starts from your school boards. Yes, school boards, goes up to your assemblymen, your aldermen, your council members, your lieutenant governors, your governors, all the way up. You have state congresses. And you need people that need to get into the business of getting into politics for the people, not to create a legacy, not to gain wealth, and not to be a stepping stone to pump up their resume to look appealing to other people. But you're going to want to push back on what I'm about to say, but fight yourself on it, okay? Focus. A big chunk of this is our fault collectively as the voting public. We're getting to the point where 83% of the voting eligible population is deciding not to vote. And the vast majority of this country does not vote in every election that is available. They only want to pop out every 4 years. Like, are you a cicada Busquin? And far too many people play into this, well, my vote doesn't count. Voting doesn't matter. Yes, it does. If it didn't, they wouldn't be fighting so hard to gerrymander you out of your vote. They wouldn't be fighting so hard to bribe you out of your vote. Twice in 1 year. We, the voting public, in Wisconsin, I believe, and in New York City, have proven that it does not matter how much money you put into something. If people get a genuine candidate and move forward, we have to stop deciding to vote for someone because they got an F-250. They can put on a cowboy hat. They can show me their guns. Oh, they're going to parade their family out. You have to remember that a politician is your employee. A campaign trail is the interview process. So think of it like this. How serious would you take someone that you're interviewing if they sat there telling you about their kids and their wife or their husband and all the things that they do? And oh, how back in the day their father was qualified for this. And oh, let me show you pictures of my house because I'm just like you. You would not care. You would be looking at their qualifications and seeing if they're a good fit. You would be talking to them to see if they would fit into the climate of the company that you were tasked to fill an empty position to. So why are you treating politicians like a Tinder date? Why does it matter if somebody is married or not? Why does it matter if somebody has kids or not? Why do these things matter? especially when you're consistently saying that you're a common man or woman and you want the common man represented, but when the common man runs, you denigrate them for being poor, for not looking the part, for not having the proper wardrobe. But then you're upset with the legacy politicians that have the wardrobes and can say the pretty words that don't do anything for you, but take everything for themselves. These are the same people who consistently tell you that universal health care will not work, while we watch our neighbors to the north have it and it works fine. And the same people telling you that it won't work are the same people that will benefit from it till the day that they die. They keep telling you, oh, don't go pay for somebody else. Newsflash, newsflash, newsflash. What they're calling entitlement benefits are essentially a savings account for you. Everybody who works pays into these things, and as you need it, you pull it out. So riddle me this back, man. If you just had a standard savings account and you had a rainy day, so you went to go get money out of your rainy day account, how likely would you be happy that people called you poor, lazy? You shouldn't look a certain way because you had to dip into your rainy day fund. I need y'all to realize that is what SNAP is. That is what WIC is. That is what SSI, SSDI. That's what all of these things are. Somebody else been holding on to your money. Also, those of y'all that are out here saying that you're against socialism, no, you're not, because you would not be able to survive without socialism. Do you pay to drive down every single road that you drive down? When you call an ambulance or you go to a public hospital, do you pay for that? Those insurance policies that you have, do you really think that you have paid enough over the years to get them 3 cars replaced full on? When your grandfather needed that triple bypass surgery and everything that came along with it. God forbid you or a family member needs end of life hospice care. Do you really, come on now. You don't realize what socialism is, and you don't realize how many business models operate on socialism that you love, love, love. What you do appreciate is somebody giving you a way to look down on somebody else, to pretend that you are better than somebody else. You all are the same people that will watch a movie or a television show and get so mad at a character, and you don't realize that you are living as that character. You will sit there and go, oh, they should have been supportive, while you are not being supportive of somebody else. You'll sit there and watch a cat, oh, they should have went for their dreams, while you convince somebody not to. And I've also seen the argument pop up here recently, like, well, why don't these people go to their families? Because a lot of people's families, excuse my French, ain't shit. There are a lot of people who previously wouldn't ask for help, and they had that help weaponized against them. So let's not pretend. We live in the real world. But why should somebody be shamed for utilizing what they pay into? You have no problem with the rich not being taxed properly. You have no problem with the rich being bailed out of things they don't need to be bailed out of. And I don't know who told y'all, oh, hard work will make you rich. Show me a hardworking rich person. There are hard workers that provide them with the money that they get to go and spend most of their time vacationing on. Because if they're so hardworking, how do they have the time to have little goofy projects like, oh, let's just do a reality show where we sit around and pretend like we're going to help people make money. We're just stealing more money from them. Like, be so for real. Be so for real. Now, maybe you missed it, maybe you didn't. But Rudy Giuliani and quite a few other people received pardons. And these, once again, going back to Trump's self-coup, aka the January 6th insurrection. Keep in mind, Rudy Giuliani was disbarred. Rudy Giuliani, through the court systems, it has been proven that he lied about everything that he has said regarding January 6th. And I also want to point out to you all that presidential pardons are on the federal level. So it's not 100% a get out of jail free card because. But Rudy Giuliani's disbarment and Trump's pardon have people questioning what's really going on. Oh, we've already been questioning what's really going on. Because at this point, Rudy Giuliani has proven his loyalty above all other. Trump has not. When Rudy Giuliani's popularity and everything started to tank and he couldn't use his name to get ahead, to get into the rooms that he has been clamoring to get in since he was a young child, he wanted nothing to do with Giuliani. But Giuliani and Mike Lindell have decided to not just go down with the ship, but go down with the wreckage like the Titanic, okay? They don't even want to be excavated at this point. They refuse to tell the truth about this man and about all the corruption that they did, whether they were coerced into it, were the masterminds behind it. They are willing to put it all on them and go down. So there's no reason, there's no incentive for Trump to do anything. There's no incentive for any type of quid pro quo. And no, I'm not advocating for that. I'm just pointing this out because it's really, really weird. Like Rudy Giuliani is completely destitute. Like his kids don't even mess with him anymore. But he cleaned up New York. No, he didn't. Led the city through 9/11. No, he didn't. He became America's mayor just because New York City, although DC is our capital, we know in our hearts what our capital actually is. So anybody literally could have been the mayor at that time and would have gotten that moniker. He was just an old crotchety racist man that happened to be white and people were adorning him because of the loss that happened there. And later stood beside Donald Trump during one of America's most turbulent elections. Was it really turbulent or did y'all throw a fit unnecessarily? Few figures have fallen as far or as publicly as Rudy Giuliani, but did he truly rise? Because let's be real, Rudy Giuliani made a career and created a reputation off of flip-flopping political parties and doing perp walks for the paparazzi to give a narrative. This is why him and Trump were able to be friends. They do it for the camera. They do it for the ratings. They are actors. They are more like, well, not even cosplayers, because I'm not going to disrespect cosplayers or actors like that. They like to play dress up and pretend. In 2024, disbarment was meant to close the book on his career. But it did the opposite. Instead, it opened a larger conversation about politics, power, and the limits of truth. So what really happened to Rudy Giuliani, and why did President Trump decide to pardon him? Because Trump doesn't realize that he's pardoning Rudy Giuliani. Trump has no idea what's going on. And a lot of people are like, yes, he does. He's just going through this. I need you to think about the 60 Minutes interview, and I've talked to y'all about this before. Trump is surrounded by a bunch of people that want power, and they're utilizing Trump and his utter stupidity and his inflated ego and the fact that you can convince him to do anything. You can be his Svengali as long as you pat him on the head every couple of times, give him a pudding cup and tell him he's a good boy. Trump has no idea who he's pardoning or why. Just like he stated on 60 Minutes, he has no idea. These people are using it to their advantage. At least, although unethical, during his first administration, at least he was cashing in. He was getting paid for it. Okay? He's not even getting anything this time. And the Republican Party each day is showing that this is their time to get rid of them. If you've been here for a while, you realize a couple years back, I said the GOP is going to find a way to not just get rid of Trump, but make sure that no other Trump for quite a while will be able to get into politics or even adjacent to politics. They are allowing this man to be an embarrassing distraction for himself. Now, they are playing a dangerous game because he is, in all technicality, a world leader. And to have your world leader be shown as incompetent and in cognitive decline is not a good thing. It is not. It absolutely is not. But they don't care because this is their way to get rid of him once and for all. Now, what will be the new faction within the GOP that will replace MAGA as it disperses? I don't know, but MAGA will not last forever. And true, most cults cannot survive past its original leader. That's all fine and dandy. But you also have to understand the history of the GOP. It has been a collection of factions that just keeps replacing itself and replacing itself. They'll go so far and they're like, that was a little far. We did a little too much with that, and they'll roll it back and another faction will come. In my lifetime, we've had a rise in conservatism within the GOP, and we had the Tea Party, and then the Tea Party started breaking into different factions, and now we have MAGA. And let's not forget the lesser vocal ultra MAGA, the Lauren Boeberts, et cetera, et cetera. But why was Rudy Giuliani disbarred? According to the Associated Press, Rudy was disbarred in Washington, D.C. in 2024 after a court ruled that he made false and misleading statements while challenging the 2020 elections. He lied. And I know all of the lawyer jokes that are going to come in. Well, that's what they do. That's what they get paid to do. He lied. The panel argued that his actions undermined public trust and violated the ethical responsibilities of an attorney. He had already been disbarred in New York prior to this ruling. The disbarment effectively ended a decades-long career that once defined legal and political strength in New York City. It did not. It did not. His career defined publicity. It defined sparkle. It gave what a lot of people thought Law and Order would be, the television show, when it first came out. Where the glitz and glamour of the mob boss would be portrayed, but the mob boss would be the DA. And I'm not joking. Look up his conviction record. He has more perp walks than anything. And he would be quick to do just what the DOJ is doing now. We're going to pretend like we got all this great investigations and all this evidence going on, and we're going to parade these people out. We're going to indict them, and then wonk, wonk, wonk. You don't hear anything else, and the case dies out. Now, I'll give it to him. He was able to accumulate a lot of titles, a lot of positions, and that is because whoever was hot in politics at that time, that's how he would define himself. He was a Democrat. He was an independent. He was this. He was that. He was everything but honest. Now, just like anything that attaches itself to Giuliani and or Trump, there are people that are like, oh, this punishment was political. The attack on him was political. It was well earned. And in all technicality, was it political? Yes, because it dealt with all of his crimes that we're discussing right now, dealt with politics. And he weaponized politics against a multitude of people, most notably the mother-daughter duo that were poll workers during the 2020 election. Now, why did Trump pardon Rudy? This is according to NBC News. In November 2025, President Donald Trump pardoned Rudy along with 76 other people. The pardon cleared Rudy of any remaining legal exposure related to election investigations or alleged misconduct tied to his post-election work. It exonerated all citizens accused of election interference on the federal level. Let me repeat this, on the federal level. There are still state cases pending. And here's the thing. If you truly, truly believe someone is innocent, why not let the process go all the way through? And yes, we do have multiple variations of the Innocence Project. We do have very high exoneration rates. That is one thing. There's a whole nother thing when someone is falsely accused, falsely convicted, because of eyewitness testimony that we have learned over the years can be extremely flawed, bought off, etc. It's another thing to have a digital footprint, multiple digital footprints, your own text messages, your own call logs, your own emails proving you to be guilty. The super crazy is ultra maggot. You're right, Jay. Now that leads us to Mr. Walkaway Brainworm. It is so embarrassing to be restricted within the confines of these here borders of the United States. I do not know how people still want to proclaim that we're the biggest, the best, the greatest, when we're at a literacy and comprehension crisis, and leading Health and Human Services is a grown man who made choices to cheat, gaslight, and mentally and emotionally abuse an ex-wife and use the excuse that it was the brainworm that made him do it. But okay. RFK Jr. says FDA taking black box warnings off menopause hormone therapy drugs. If you ever wondered what mommy issues really looks like, look at RFK Jr. And if you want to know about the long-lasting effects of granddaddy issues, look at RFK Jr. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced Monday that the U.S. Food and Drug Administration would remove broad black box warnings from hormone replacement therapy products used to ease the symptoms of menopause. More than 20 estrogen-related products used to treat hot flashes and other symptoms for decades will no longer carry a warning label about cardiovascular disease, breast cancer, and probable dementia, which is diabolical. Because overwhelmingly, they already do not teach women, them presenting individuals, about the proper signs of a heart attack in women. Because yes, it presents differently in women. There have been a multitude of reports of women not even knowing that they were experiencing heart attacks, because for the vast majority of people's lives, they've been told to look for certain things, and that's not how it presents in women. But to take that out, and at the same time that you are trying to strip away millions of people's access to proper health insurance, which means proper screenings, proper doctor's appointments may not be happening, you don't want to tell them that, hey, to get relief for this stage in life that you really cannot avoid, we're not going to tell you about breast cancer. It's bad enough that they also do not tell men that they need to have breast cancer screenings also. Because I know that on women we call them breasts and on men we call them pecs, but they're all the same thing. Same thing, fam. Same thing. And I'm also not going to tell people that that is a probable cause of dementia. So you're just supposed to wake up one day and your body falling apart like surprise, surprise. And here's the thing. Why are we the only nation on this third rock from the sun that has so many pharmaceutical commercials? First of all, I don't know why we have pharmaceutical commercials like we can just walk into the doctor's office and be like, hey, give me that new X, Y, and Z because I heard it was dope. Absolutely not. Number one. Number two, why do our medications come with more side effects than they come with benefits? And I've been saying this for quite a while. Okay. I know that personally I have a bone to pick with pharmaceutical companies. Because when my mother was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, the medication that they gave her to help her with that causes cancer. And because medications that they give you, depending on the types of cancer that you have, can cause rheumatoid arthritis. So it's a vicious cycle. And you want to take the labels off. You don't want to warn people about this. You just want people flying blind. But I thought we were supposed to be making America healthy again. I don't know when we were healthy, but hey, we're going to go with their slogans. How are we supposed to make America healthy at all if you're removing or rolling back regulations and restrictions? Quality control is virtually a thing of the past. It is a relic at this point. And how's that working out for us? Not too well. We have even more contaminated water, everything falling from the sky, bridges not bridging. And they still don't want to feed children in school, let alone feed children in school in a healthy manner. Because when Michelle Obama was like, hey, let's start from the kids, teach them, proper nutrition, and let's not do that. And here's the thing, the same people who fight against that will get on social media. Look at the reports of children in other countries and what they get and go, oh, why don't we have that here? I wish I would have had that when I was in school. It's because of you, idiot. It's because of you, idiot. You sit back and fangirl and fanguy over the things that you should have access to while working diligently to prohibit anybody, including yourself, from getting access to it. See, those hate-riddled ricochets never miss. You think that they miss because you have convinced yourself, you've deluded yourself into thinking that the target is over there, but the target is always here. More than 20 estrogen-related products used to treat hot flashes and other symptoms for decades will no longer carry a warning label about cardiovascular disease, breast cancer, and probable dementia. Warnings will remain in place for the risk of endometrial cancer and systemic estrogen alone products. Today, we are standing up for every woman who has symptoms of menopause and is looking to know her options and receive potentially life-changing treatment, Kennedy said in a statement. Well, here's the thing. He's not lying, but what he's saying is not positive. This is another one of those times where you have to really pay attention to what somebody's saying. So y'all always want somebody to talk to you nice, talk to you pretty, and then you take those words and you put a pretty connotation in your head. Let's go. Today, we are standing up for every woman who has symptoms of menopause and is looking to know her options. But how? Omission is still a lie. Lying removes consent. Let me repeat that for y'all, okay? Omission is still a lie. Lying removes consent. Because it would be no different if I, Taz J, says, hey, everyone watching, I'm going to gift you a house. Now, in my mind and in the contract, way down in the fine print, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to give it to them. They get to live there long enough to get it fixed up the way that I wanted to, and then they got to get out. But I don't tell you that. And you're like, yeah, you sure it's mine? Yep, it's yours. You sure? Yep. Free and click? Yep. I have you sign on the dotted line. You get comfy, cozy. You get all the renovations done that I want to my liking. You get everything looking nice and spiffy, and then I put you out. How mad are you going to be? Now imagine that, but with your life. See, when people go, everything isn't political. Why can't we get along and we have different political stance? Politics is about the life of the populace. Did you hear me though? Politics is about the life of the populace. I think some of y'all missed that in school. And I think some of y'all missed that in real life when you got out and started doing adult things. At this point, because of the overturning of the Dobbs decision, aka Roe v. Wade, they are going to continuously try to play with women, whether it's for support, and we know the certain subsets of society that will get up and will be a human shield to shillings of men. Okay, we know this. Once again, the lowest among us are always the litmus test. When when you show that you are comfortable with how they are being treated, it is taken, because silence is compliance, that you are okay with being treated that way too. It's no different than the gossip hounds out there that always want to whisper about somebody else. They ain't talked to this person, they ain't been around this person in 30 years, but will swear up and down they know everything about their life, and they want to carry all this information here, carry all that information there. And they think that everything that they saying is just destroying that person's life, and they have no idea that that person is flourishing, and they're the ones tearing down their own life, because the goals that used to be there for them no longer are. And that is what is happening with our society. And they are going to continue to target women. The pipeline is amping up. It is amping up. And because they've already been positioning, because we know the red pills, but even before the red pill phenomenon, the mindset, the rhetoric, the narratives have existed for a very long time. They're already positioning women to feel inferior again, hopefully pushing them back into the household. But see, here's the thing. When they started pushing women out of the household, is because they realized, yes, there are outliers, but go with me, where the power was. Because a lot of these women had the power of the purse, etc., except for white women, unless they were poor white women. Except for white women, they didn't have the power of anything. But they also did not have any skill. And what do I mean? Because when you're talking about these women had domestics coming in doing all the work for them. This is why a stay-at-home wife is lazy and X, Y, and Z. That's where that comes from. So when they push you back, they're convincing the next generations that you're not needed. Just like they convince people living right now that we don't need migrant workers, that we don't need immigrants, that we don't need this, that, and the other, until they realize, hold up, most of this department is here on an HB1 visa. Most of where everything that we love to just easily be able to pick up at the grocery store, we need those migrants here on a multitude of visas. But just like a lot of people are finding out how difficult society is without the vast majority of Black women going out doing Black woman things, FAFO isn't just for the right wing, because a lot of you are slapping blue all over the place, but there's nothing blue about you. There's nothing purple about you. There is nothing forward moving or forward thinking about you. You are just trying to preserve your own individual comfort while ignoring and stepping on everybody else. And let me tell you, that is going to be impossible. Think about that for a bit. But as always, wait a minute. Do we have, I think we have one more before we close out. Yes, we do. Sorry. Almost didn't get to this one. Trump's troops permanently blocked by federal judge. Judge Emmergut, a Portland federal judge and Trump appointee, after a 3-day trial, issued a permanent injunction to once and for all block Trump's takeover of the state National Guard on the streets of Portland. Here's the thing. for mainstream media and when having conversations about this, because I'm sick and tired of this, and this is not really something that we did previously. The only time we talked about who appointed who is if somebody was moving to the next level of an appointment. Okay, let's stop. Oh, they were appointed by this person. The courts are meant to be apolitical. There is not supposed to be bipartisan. There's not supposed to be partisanship, period, within the judicial system. You're playing into the Trump narrative, a political persecution, that they are being politically persecuted while they're the ones doing it. So stop. And we are now having incredibly dutiful and well-accomplished judges step down from the bench to now speak openly and honestly about this administration and how egregious they are because of things like this, because of the misleading interpretations and reporting that's going on, that people want to keep pointing out the most inconsequential BS because they'd rather softball the GOP than give an even playing field and give the U.S. public a fighting chance when it comes to voting in defense of our sanity, our comfort, and what needs to be our way of life. The child, I guess. As always, thank you for joining me here for the Taz Effect. I will see you all tomorrow, same time, same place, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2:30 p.m. Central Standard. Tonight at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will continue with 107 Days by Kamala Harris. That will be on TikTok. It will be available the next day on YouTube. And then tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, we will continue on with the Kirk conspiracy, all things Erica and Charlie Kirk, and the supposed conspiracies regarding his demise. If you have missed the other parts, they are available on YouTube. And if you are not subscribed on YouTube and or Substack, what are you waiting for? All links are in my bio, and make sure you check out the latest merch. As always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Now go out and get into some good trouble, but remember, nothing that requires bail in this economy, and most importantly, it only requires bail if you get caught.